It's easy to get caught up in a lot of stuff when it comes to photography. Let's talk about some of them. Well, what about you guys? How's it going? Hope you're all keeping well today. Hope everything is good where you are. You know, it's a great time to be a photographer now because there's so much information available now than what there would have been many years ago. We have things like the internet, social media, we still have books and magazines. There's just a plethora of information that is just open to us. And when we start off doing photography, it's very easy to get caught up and bogged down by all the information that is out there, like what sort of camera should I get, or what sort of settings should I use, and it really takes away from why you wanted to be a photographer in the first place. So today I just wanted to talk about some beginner photographer mistakes that get us caught up and get us really daunted when it comes to starting off in photography. Now, this isn't going to be your typical, oh, you should use this aperture for portraits, or you should, you know, focus on your highlights and your shadows, right? No, this is going to be a little bit more personal. This is just some of the things that I've picked up on over the years that I've put across to a lot of different people when it comes to starting off in photography. So whether you think this list is for you or whether you've heard some of these things before, hopefully some of these things will help you when you start off in your journey. Or if you're already on your journey, then maybe some of these things might be a little bit more of a refresh to hear. So again, just some things that I've come across in all my time of being a photographer. So the one thing I've always said when it comes to photography, and especially with the digital age nowadays, is don't just take one photo. Before, whenever we were on film cameras, yeah, we were very limited because you had a roll of film. You were limited to like 24, 36 shots depending on how much was on that film. You then used up your film and had to load in another. Whereas now we have memory cards available that can take hundreds, if not thousands of photographs. So it's natural for somebody like a music photographer or a sports photographer to take hundreds of photographs when they're out on the field, because we don't want to miss any of the action. But if you're somebody that is into the likes of portraits or landscape where there isn't that much action going on, have you ever stopped to think that maybe don't just take one photo when you're out there? Take landscape photography, for example. When you're out and about, you're at a really nice landscape, get yourself all nicely set up, you see a photo that you like, you take it and then you just move on. Have you not ever stopped to think, maybe I'll take some more? Because yes, maybe to have multiple images of maybe the same scene might look a little boring and it might take up a little bit of memory card space, but you will be amazed at what can actually happen when you're out and about, because lighting is always changing. If you're out doing a sunrise shoot, I've been out in it before, and you're waiting for the sun to come up, you get yourself all planned out and sit yourself out. Well, take photos beforehand, because you'll be amazed at with things like the sky coming in, there's different colors all before the sun comes up. So don't just get bogged down with just going, oh, I've taken one photo, I've taken the photo, this looks really nice, I'll move on. Because I've had moments where I've gotten home and maybe that one photograph that I've taken didn't actually turn out that well. For me, I always take a minimum of at least 3 photographs. Just take some time, stop and take as many photos as you like, because having multiple to choose from just really helps, and you never know what one photo can look like compared to another. A subtle change can really make a photo stand out. And when you're out taking photos as well, don't let settings fry your head. So when we're learning photography, we really want to come away from playing about with auto, because yeah, as great as auto is, we're very limited on what we can do. So naturally, when we think of coming out of auto, we always go, oh, there's auto, there's manual, I want to get up to manual. But manual's very confusing, so I'm quite scared of it. So I'm quite happy staying on auto. Well, there is all the other settings to play about with as well. You've got your shutter speed priority, aperture priority. I actually talk about some of these different settings in a video that you can check out in the top right hand corner. But even then, when you're learning photography, you'll sit there and constantly go, what aperture should I be? What shutter should I be? And you can very easily miss a shot. I mean, I experienced this for so many years when I was teaching classes. People came back from their session out taking photographs, and most of them just weren't happy because they were more not happy at the settings they were getting. But when they actually looked back at their photos afterwards, like up on the big screen or on the computer, they were actually pretty happy. So you can lose out on opportunities when you're really focused on settings, and it'll take time. When you're a beginner, it's going to take time for it to become second nature. I mean, for me, I'm still trying to think of what sort of settings to use, but this is another little tip that I also want to give you as well, is that don't fully disregard auto, because when you're out taking photographs and you're still learning about exposure, keep the camera in auto. Take an idea of what the aperture and the shutter speed and all is, then maybe go to one of the other settings and put it in, and then boom, you've pretty much got the exposure locked in. So you've seen what the camera recognizes, and then from there on in, you can start playing about with. When I'm out doing music photography, I'm doing manual, so I'm always in manual. But see, outside of that, see any of the other sort of photography that I do, 9 times out of 10 I'm in the priority modes, or if I'm feeling lazy, I'm just in program, so I'm still using auto, but there's a little bit of tweaking here and there that I can do, but I'm mostly just focused on what the photo is going to look like. So yeah, don't let settings ruin the photo taking experience. Another thing that I've been a very heavy advocate about is don't focus on one subject. Now, I'm not talking about like auto or manual focus here. I'm actually talking about, so we all have niches, we all like a style. So like for me, I'm a music photographer. I like taking photographs of bands, at gigs, all those different things. There's photographers out there that love to do weddings, portraits. There's photographers that love to do landscapes. Well, it's great to find a style that really suits you and a style that you really like, and it's good to hone in on that craft, but don't fully rely on it, because take for example what's going on in the world right now. For me as a music photographer, I'm not getting out to any gigs and bands are finding it really hard, so I'm not letting my camera gather dust or anything. I'm going out and about, I'm taking photographs out in the street, going to a nice landscape or anything. So it's good to play about with different sort of styles and techniques. I mean, if you check out my Instagram, you'll see that it's covered in different sort of photography styles. Say for example, you go out and about and you go, I don't really take much black and white photographs. Maybe I'll constantly take black and white shots when I'm out and about here, or I don't really do much street photography. I'll go give it a go. It's good to try different things. So you've got something that you can really hone in on. You've got your top niche, but you've also got things that you also really enjoy. Like, I mean, of course, there is going to be ones that you don't enjoy. For me, I don't like wedding photography, but there's people out there that do, and I won't disregard them for anything that they say about wedding photography. It's just not for me. But when I'm not doing music photography, I love landscape photography, I love still doing portrait work whenever I can, and I love architecture, so I'll keep doing those sorts of things when I can't do music photography. It just kills the boredom. So yeah, don't just focus on the one subject. Do experiment with others and see which ones you actually really like outside of your normal niche. Another big thing when it comes to photography, and this is kind of a bit of a no-brainer, but it's very easy to forget about this one, but if you're ever going out shooting, don't go without spares. I've had many a times in the past where I've gone out to a location and I've forgotten a memory card, or my battery dies and I've forgotten a spare or anything like that. So make sure you always bring spares. I mean, on my photography shelf, I've got multiple batteries, I have memory cards galore, so just take the time. Like if I have 2 cameras with me, so say I have my Sony and maybe I have the Canon, I have a memory card in each of them, but I'll also have a memory card tucked into my pocket or my wallet. So it just it's handy to have a spare, because you never know what can happen in the field. A battery can die, a memory card can fail, and if you only brought one thing, then you're pretty much snookered. Just have as much spares as you possibly can. You can get things like cards and batteries and whatnot very cheaply. Yeah, you can get them at a lot more pricey, but you can get them quite cheap in a lot of times too. So just always have spares, even if you don't use it when you're out and about. It's good to have. Better to have it and not need it than not have it and need it. Lastly, and this is a very big one when it comes to starting off in photography, and that is don't get gear savvy. So the reason why I say that is whenever we come to buy our first ever camera or buy our first lenses, we always do the research. We go and check out the reviews, we check out the spec, we check out what people say. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big gear geek. I love finding out about spec and I love finding out different things about cameras and lenses, but don't let the gear again take away from the photography experience. See, cameras these days, they're pretty much at the highest quality that they could probably get. I mean, yes, there's still room for improvements with as technology constantly advances, but compared to what cameras were like years ago, they're just so different now, and it's easy to get caught up in spec. But what I always say to people is when they're going to shop for cameras is, yes, of course, think about your budget, but I always tell people to think about how you want the camera to work. So how the camera feels in the hand. Like, not all cameras feel the same when you pick them up. Some have a little bit more of a grip, some are a lot more smaller. So think about what fits nicely into the hand, but also sit and think about the uses. So some cameras are better for portrait photography, others are better for music photography. So sit and think about your usage. But most importantly, just sit and think about what is right for you. I mean, even when we sit and think, if we come away from cameras and we look at things like smartphones, look at how smartphones have come over the years. They're pretty much nearly replacing compact cameras. We're always using our smartphone nowadays just to take photographs. So it's amazing just to see how technology has advanced on. And of course, I've always been asked, well, why should I get this camera instead of just using my smartphone? Well, yeah, just why? Of course, there is a difference in regards to some aspects, but if it is just a matter of just going out and doing some point and shoots, what's stopping you from just using your phone? See, again, just don't let gear be the one thing that really takes you away from the photography experience. I mean, for me, I have the Sony a7 II. That's my main camera, and that camera's pretty much been around for about, what, 5 years now, maybe a little bit less. So it's now considered older technology compared to what's actually on the market now. Am I disappointed in that? No. It still takes great photos. I'm still going to go out and about with it, so I am. The Canon, the M50 here, has been out for a couple of years now. There's been replacements from that. There's going to be other replacements from it, from what we've seen. Am I going to replace this anytime soon? No, because it still does everything that I need to do, and it still gives me the quality that I want. So yeah, just don't let gear take away from the photography experience. So yeah, I know this list is a little bit of a no-brainer for some of you, but it's easy to get caught up in a lot of these things because at the end of the day, photography should always be about the experience, going out and taking photographs. So don't let a lot of these things take that away from you. Just go and have fun. Take as many photographs as you like. Play about with different subjects. Don't let gear bring you down or anything like that. And of course, do bring spares as well. But yeah, when it comes to starting off in photography, it's good to sit and think about these things. But even if you've done photography for a long time, it's good to take a step back and remember about some of these things. I've had to do it quite a lot over the years. So again, these are just my things that you can really look out on. These different things that can really take away from the photography experience overall. So I hope they have helped you. If this list has helped you, or if there's anything that you would like to add on to it, well, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know some of your thoughts. And of course, while you're there, don't be afraid to like, share, subscribe, and hit that wee bell icon so you can stay up to date with future videos. I'm always very thankful that you guys get to come along, check out the content. It's always greatly appreciated. But until then, take care, stay safe, and have a good day.